today we are going to deal with the chapter that is coordination compound. So in your last class you have learned how to go with the nomenclature part of coordination compound as well as how to go with isomerism based on its types, which goes with the structural isomers as well as stereoisomerism. So based on that, how it goes with the different kinds of isomerism, which is having same molecular formula when it goes with the structure as well as stereo aspects, so that differs with one another. So due to that reason, their physical property will change and chemical property it may or may not be changed over there. So in today's class, we will learn regarding the concept known as bonding in coordination compound. See, till now we have studied the concept which was explained by Werner. So what he has told, he has given some explanation, or he has told first the formation of the complex ion, how the formation of complex ion, how it will form, right? So what will be there in that complex compound that he has told. So that is the first thing that he has explained, right? So he explained the formation of a complex ion, and he explained how the bonding will take place, in the sense, bonding in the sense what will be the geometry of the molecule, right? So based on the isomer, when you have done isomerism structure, so by then you have identified. So based on the coordination number, we can find the geometry of the molecule. So that explanation he has given, and he also explained regarding the primary as well as the secondary valency of the complex ion, right? So these three things, in the sense, the first one is regarding the formation of the complex ion, and the second one is geometry of the complex ion, and the third one is primary as well as secondary valence of the complex ion has been explained by Werner's theory. And if you go with the Werner's theory, it will be having some of the drawbacks also. What are the drawbacks? When he explained regarding this complex ion, he said the elements, the metal ion what we are taking, so that is D block elements that we are taking. Why we are supposed to take only the D block elements? Okay, that concept has been not explained, so that will be considered as a drawback. Okay, so then still more the drawbacks if we will consider, it did not explain the bonding formation, right? So how the bonding formation will take place between the metal as well as ligand if we will consider, what kind of bond will be present between them. Okay, so that directional of a nature of a bond has been not explained by your Werner, so that is the second drawback. The third drawback if we will consider the magnetic property, the complex ion or the compound if we will consider, whether it is a paramagnetic in nature or whether it is diamagnetic in nature, in the sense whether it is attracted towards magnetic field or slightly the repulsion will be there towards magnetic field. So that concept has been not explained by Werner. So these will be considered as a drawback. The first thing is he couldn't explain why only the certain elements will be considered as metal ion or central metal ion, which will be taken from D block elements. Okay, why it is only the D block elements? So that explanation he did not give. So that is the first drawback. The second drawback, so directional of nature of the bond he did not explain. In the sense, what kind of bond will be present between metal and the ligand? Okay, so between them the bond formation, so that was not explained by Werner. And the third one is the magnetic property, whether the compound, whether it undergoes for paramagnetism or diamagnetism. So that property also has been not explained by Werner. So this will be considered as a drawback. So next what they will do, still they will be research will be taken place based on the drawback of Werner. Okay, so based on that some of the theory has been proposed. So the theory which was proposed after this, so that is one is VBT, valence bond theory. Okay, and the second one is CFT, so that is crystal field theory, and the next one is LFT, which is called as ligand field theory, and the next one is considered as MOT, which is nothing but molecular orbital theory. So in your first year or 11th standard you have already studied regarding VBT as well as MOT. Okay, so now here the explanation has been given based on the coordination compound. So what kind of bond will be present? So VBT theory, majorly it explains the formation of a covalent bonding between the metal as well as ligand. Okay, so the theory, so these are the theory which will explain regarding what kind of bond will be present, what will be the magnetic property, the drawbacks, what we have considered from Werner. So that has been given, or the explanation of those drawbacks has been given by these theories. So we will be studying the theories which are important. So that is mainly VBT as well as CFT theory. go with the valence bond theory. We'll go with the assumption, then we'll go with the compound. For state syllabus students, remember whatever the complex compound that we are going to discuss, 4 complex compound that we'll be discussing. So in that, any one is compulsory for your final exam. Okay, one will be the compulsory question for your final exam. So from this concept onwards, your 3 marks questions will start. Okay, so now first we'll go with the assumption what has been discussed under valence bond theory. So the first assumption that has been said, right, central metal atom provides vacant d orbital for incoming ligand. So if you consider the central metal atom, so that will be having vacant space around it. It is like a room. Okay, when guests will come to your home, so you are going to give a room, separate room for them. Okay, empty room. So that is nothing but the same way. So your metal will be giving. So metal provides empty d orbital. So it will provide empty d orbital for your incoming ligand. Okay. So this empty orbital will be given by your central metal atom. So that is the first assumption. The second one is each ligand will have at least one lone pair of electrons to donate. So when you consider your ligand, okay, so ligand if you are considering, it will have at least minimum, it should have one lone pair of electron to donate. We are not talking about the electron, the pair of electron which is present in that element. We are not talking about it. We are talking about the lone pair of electron. Okay, so what we'll consider as a ligand, so that ligand will have at least minimum one lone pair of electron. So how to find out with the lone pair of electron? You just write the electronic configuration. Okay, just see in VBT, valence bond theory, when we have discussed in your 11th standard, we have discussed. For example, if you take fluorine atom, the electronic configuration of this, it comes as 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. Right? So now here if you go electronic configuration, for this shell if you write the structure, 2s2 in the sense, in this way it comes 2 electrons, 2p5 in the sense 3 orbital, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. According to VPT, what we have discussed in 11th standard, the electrons will jump into vacant orbital or empty orbital, right? Okay, to go with hybridization. Here it doesn't have empty orbital. Second shell it doesn't have the continuation of this also. 2d orbital is not there. So it will remain as it is. So this will act as lone pair of electrons. If you consider fluorine, it will be having 3 lone pair of electrons. In the same way, the ligand, okay, the element which will consider, the group of atom which will consider as a ligand, so that will be having at least minimum 1 lone pair of electrons should be there. Okay, so that is the second postulate. So this will be donated to your central metal atom. The third postulate, empty orbitals of a metal ion overlap with the filled orbital of the ligand. So now if you consider your metal ion which is having empty orbital, okay, which is left space for your ligand, okay. So empty orbital of a metal ion, it will get overlap with the ligand which is having at least one lone pair of electron. Okay, so this overlapping will take place to give a new orbital. Hybridized orbital formation will take place over here. See, overlapping of your metal orbital as well as ligand orbital will take place. Okay, where the sharing of electron will take place between this, and bond formation will be formed. Sigma bond formation will take place between metal as well as your ligand. Okay, so this is the third postulate. Next, fourth postulate, atomic orbital undergo hybridization. So you now know atomic orbital will get overlap and you are going to get a new hybrid orbital. So that hybridization mainly based on your coordination number. If the coordination number is 4, what is meant by coordination number? Between metal as well as ligand. The number of ligands which is bonded to your central metal atom. Okay, around metal, how many ligands will be there which will be bonded between with your metal? So that will be considered as coordination number. So if coordination number is 4, then hybridization that it will undergo, that is sp3 hybridization. So by then the geometry will, it shows geometry with the tetrahedron. If the coordination number is 4, if it shows this hybridization, that is ZsP2, the geometry is square pentagon. If the coordination number is 5, the hybridization is sp3d as well as the geometry will be trigonal bipyramidal. If the coordination number is 6, the hybridization is sp3d2 as well as d2sp3, which shows the geometry with octahedral. You know coordination number 4 in the sense it shows two geometry, that is tetrahedral and square pendulum. And you should know the hybridization also, because based on hybridization you are going to write the geometry of the compound. Okay. And if it is coordination number 5, we just have only one geometry, that is diagonal bipyramidal. If coordination number is 6, then it shows octahedral geometry. So this concept you need to remember more for to write valence bond structure. Okay. So next, the last postulate says whenever the orbital formation will take place, which orbitals are involved or participate in bonding? So that is an s orbital, p orbital, n minus 1 into d as well as nd orbital. So these orbitals can involve for bonding. Okay. So n minus, you know what is n minus? Okay. N is nothing but the number of orbital which is involved. Okay. Again np. And what is n minus 1 into d as well as nd? So this n minus 1 into d is nothing but the inner orbital which is involved for the bonding. Inner orbital which is involved for the bonding. Or sometimes outer orbital also will be involved in the bonding. So that will be having the formula as nd. So this is outer orbital involved for the bonding. Now consider you have 4s shell. Okay, the orbital which you have is 4s. What is the inner orbital of 4s? See, go with formula. The inner orbital formula comes as n minus 1 into d. So n is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. So 3d. So inner orbital of 4s is 3d. What is the outer orbital of 4s? So that is 4 into d. So that is 4d. So whenever it involves in bonding, okay, participate in bonding. Why that time? Either it can involve inner orbital for bonding or outer orbital for bonding. Okay, so this is participation of bonding. For that, it seems, some of you may can think over here. If the coordination number is 6, I have written here sp3d2 as well as d2sp3. Whether both are same number of s, same number of p as well as d. Whether both are same? No, it is different. Why it is different? See here sp3d2. This d shows the next outer orbital when it goes for bonding, for hybridization. This d shows the inner orbital. See 3d, next 4s, next 4p. So this is like 4s, 4p, 4d, the outer orbital which is involved for the bonding. So it is not same, it is different. Okay. So based on that, the geometry also, octahedral geometry has been explained. So next we will go with some of the complex ion. Okay, so based on that we will go with the structure. So next we will go with the complex ion. Okay, so then we will see how we go with the valence bond structure. Okay, so now before we go with this, you should understand some concept over here. See, this valence bond theory also, it did not explain regarding the magnetic property of a complex ion. Okay, valence bond theory did not explain the magnetic property of a complex ion. To derive this, okay, to go with the explanation of this valence bond theory, we need to understand the ligand, what it is present over here, whether the ligand is a strong field ligand or weak field ligand. That we need to understand to go with the explanation. Okay, so we need to understand whether the ligand, whatever is present in the compound, okay, so that ligand is a strong field ligand or weak field ligand. So that we need to identify or we need to understand over here. So just by seeing the compound it is not possible, or just by doing the VPT structure it is not possible. So what they have done, they have taken this compound. So listen carefully, they have taken this compound and they have done with the next theory, that is a crystal field theory. So they have done the experiment according to CFT theory. So there, whatever the result they have got, based on that, okay, the result there they will get based on the magnetic property. Okay, so there you can identify the particular ligand, in the sense based on that compound, whether it undergoes for paramagnetism or diamagnetism. Okay, so there you will get to know, under CFT theory you will get to know whether it is diamagnetic property or whether it undergo for paramagnetic property. So based on that, they said the ligand what is present, so that is strong or weak. Okay, so now this compound they took with the CFT. So they found this compound is diamagnetic in nature. According to CFT, it is diamagnetic in nature. Diamagnetic in nature. And remember, if the compound is diamagnetic in nature, the ligand what is used, that is a strong field ligand. So that should be there in your mind always. If the compound is diamagnetic in nature, then the ligand what it is used over there, so that is strong field ligand. Okay, so this should be there in your mind. You understood what I said? So most of the students are getting confused. How will get to know whether this is strong field or weak field? So just by seeing the compound, it is not at all possible. They have done the experiment with the CF according to crystal field theory. So there they got to know the magnetic property. So based on the magnetic property, we are going to say whether it is strong field or weak field. If the magnetic property is diamagnetic, then it is a strong field ligand. If the magnetic property is paramagnetism, then it is a weak field ligand. You understood my point? If the magnetic property is diamagnetic in nature, then it is a strong field ligand. If it is paramagnetic in nature, then it is a weak field ligand. It should be there in your mind. So now directly we go with the compound. Okay, we will go with the VBD structure of this complex atom. So first, according to step, okay, we need to go over here. So the first step here, you need to identify the central metal atom. The first step is you need to identify the central metal atom. So which is the central metal atom over here? The central metal atom or ion, that is nothing but your cobalt. What is the atomic number of cobalt? So that is 27, right? According to that, what is the electronic configuration of cobalt? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d7. This is the electronic configuration. So every time, instead of writing this much, you can consider this as your noble gas. Okay, so which is the noble gas which shows the atomic number as 18? That is argon. Argon 4s2, 3d7. We want this shells for your VBD structure. Okay, so write the noble gas and write the electronic configuration as it is 4s2, 3d7. So you can write in this way or you can write in this way. Better if you write in this way. Okay, so first identify the central metal atom or ion. Write the electronic configuration of it. Next step, the second step, find the oxidation number of the central metal atom. You know now how to find the oxidation number of central metal atom based on X, right? So find the oxidation number of this, okay, central metal atom. So if I find, so that comes as 3+, oxidation state of cobalt will be 3+. Now according to this, write the electronic configuration. 3+ in the sense what? 3 electrons it is losing. So based on that, write the electronic configuration. Argon 4s. So how much it will come? When you say 3+ electron, most of the students they will say the electronic configuration will come as 4s2, 3d4. They will say this is the electronic configuration. This is wrong. Okay. See, while filling the shell, if you have a nucleus, okay, shells are in this way. First, second, third, fourth. Think removal of electron, whether it is easy from the last shell or from here. It will be easy from the last shell. So from where you are supposed to remove the first electrons, you should remove the electron from the last shell. So which is the last shell over here? That is fourth shell. So according to that, remove. So you need to remove 3 electrons. So last shell is having 2 electrons. Remove these 2 electrons, so it is 0. The next 1 electron, you should go for the next shell. That is 3D shell. So 7 in the sense 1 electron if you are removing 6. I guess you understood the concept. Okay. So this is regarding writing the electronic configuration based on oxidation number. So this is the second step. Next step, you need to write the orbital structure based on this electronic configuration. Third step, you need to write orbital structure based on this. right orbital structure. So here Argon will come. Okay, right orbital structure. Or while writing orbital structure, also don't write for us first. First, inertial only should be written. So that is 3D. So 3D in the sense how many orbitals we need to draw? 3D. So D in the sense how many electrons it can fill? 10 electrons it can fill. In the sense the orbitals that you need to show 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 by 10 electrons in the sense pair of electrons if you put how many electrons will come? 10 electrons. So in that way it is 5. Next is 4s. 4s. After this which electron orbital will come, that is 4p. You write and keep. Okay. Why not taking this 4p, that you will understand by next step. Or if you are not sure whether to write or whether to take this 4p or not, no need to worry. You take only this much. Still 4s you take. And next step, if you are writing this 4 patient, so here also you copy the same. Okay. So now fill the electrons. 3D. How many electrons? 6 electrons. So according to mention, one electron you should give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And next electron should be 6 electrons. Okay. So now 6 electrons you have given. The next thing for next step, what you have to identify, you should find the ligand whatever you have written, that is strong or weak ligand. So you know amine is a strong or weak ligand, that is strong field ligand. Is strong field ligand. So if it is a strong field ligand, what will happen? If it is a strong field ligand, the central metal atom also will get the energy and the pairing of the electrons will be formed. If it is a strong field ligand, then only. Okay. So by then the pairing of electrons will start. So this electron will go here, this electron will go here. Okay. So pairing of electrons. Pairing of electrons takes place. You need to write the sentence. It is important. Takes place. So NH3, your amine groups are there, right? As a ligand. So that act as strong field ligand. So pairing of electrons should take place. Okay. So now pairing you have to do. The electrons orbital structure whatever you have written, right? So in this you need to go with pairing with the electrons. Okay. So write for CO3 plus argon. So how it will come? 3D structure, 3D orbital you need to draw. So 3D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. The next one is 4s. First to draw the orbital structure. The next one is 4p. Okay. So based on this, here 2 electrons already present. Give that 2 electrons. Next pairing of this will go here. So pairing of the electrons, and this electron will go here. So pairing of electrons. Over. Okay. Due to strong field ligand, the pairing of electron will take place. Finish. The next step, see postulates or assumption whatever you have written. What is the first postulate? The metal will leave empty space for what? Empty space for ligand. Okay. For incoming ligand, it will leave empty space. So here, this metal also will leave empty space for the ligand. How many empty space will be given? So it is like if guests are coming to your house, okay, based on the number of guests, you are going to give the rooms. Okay, empty rooms you are going to give. In the same way, here also, cobalt is a central metal atom. It will give the empty space for the ligands. How many empty space will be given? Based on the number of ligands. How many ligands you have? You have 6 ligands. So based on the number of ligands, you need to give that empty space. So 6 ligands you have. So after this, whatever the 6 empty space are there, that will be given to ligand. Okay. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this 6 empty space or vacant space of d orbital will be given to ligand. So that you should show in this dotted lines. This empty space for what? That is given for ligand. So you need to write over here. So 6 empty space or vacant orbital space orbital or vacant space d orbital will be given to ligand. So for how many ligands you are going to give? 6 amines. So total 6 amine you are having. For that 6 amine you are going to give the space. Empty d orbital you are going to give. Okay. So by then take this empty orbital. All the empty orbital only you have to take now. Okay. So you can write together all the empty orbital. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 empty orbital you have to take. Okay. And this empty orbital will be filled by lone pair of electrons. Go with the second assumption of PBT. So there it says each ligand will be having at least one or minimum one lone pair of electron. Okay. Each ligand will give minimum one lone pair of electron. Here 6 ligands are present. So how many lone pair of electrons it will give? 6 lone pair of electron it will give. So each ligand, one NH3 molecule, it is going to give one lone pair of electron. So total how many NH3 molecules have? 6 NH3 molecules. So 6 will give 6 lone pair of electron. So this is 6 lone pair of electrons given by NH3 6. Okay. So this is the pair of electron which has been given by your NH3 molecule. So this much you have to write, and after this you need to mention regarding hybridization which will undergo with this. What is the hybridization of this complex ion, as well as what is the geometry, as well as magnetic property of this term you need to write. Okay. So what is the hybridization of this compound? Hybridization you need to identify by seeing this. How many empty space or empty orbital or vacant d orbital is given for the ligands? Okay. How many d orbitals will be given? So based on that will occupied by your ligand, right? So how many lone pair, the empty d orbitals are present? If you consider d, this is d. How many orbitals are given for ligand? So that is 2. So d2. How many s orbital is given for the ligand? 1s. How many p orbital has been given? That is 3. So d2 sp3. So that is a hybridization. d2 sp3. Check with your assumption. Okay. So what is the geometry of the molecule when you go with the d2 sp3 hybridization? So geometry will be octahedral. Do you think whether it is correct? If NH3 is 6, coordination number is 6, what will be the geometry? Octahedral geometry. Okay. What is the magnetic property? Whether it is diamagnetic in property or paramagnetic in property. By seeing this. Okay, see, this will be always, it will be having lone pair, pair of electrons. Don't go by this. This you need to check. Okay, field of your cobalt. Okay, so there you have to check. So if it is having at least one lone pair, one unpaired electron, if it is present also, that will be considered as paramagnetic in property. Now here all are paired, so it is diamagnetic. Diamagnetic. Why it is diamagnetic? Because no lone pair, no unpair of electrons. No unpaired electrons. If it is having one unpaired electrons also, then it will be considered as paramagnetic in nature. So it is diamagnetic in nature, and this is called as low spin orbital or inner orbital complex. Why it is called as low spin or inner orbital? See, while write or explaining assumption I have told. Either it involves inner orbital for bonding, okay, or sometimes it involves outer orbital for bonding. So now you see, this name says it involves inner orbital for bonding. For 4s if you consider, it involves inner orbital for bonding. Inner orbital always will be there. Whether when you write hybridization, whether that inner d orbital is present with hybridization or outer d orbital is present with hybridization. So 4d is not there in what for bonding, right? So hybridization takes place only with inner d orbital. So hybridization is d to sp3. So it will be called as low spin or inner orbital complex. Okay. So this is regarding VBT structure for your CONH6, that is an octahedral complex. So next we will go with another complex group. Okay. So that is COF6 3 minus hexafluorido cobaltate. Okay, cobaltate, oxidation state of cobalt is +3 and ion. Okay, it is there with ionic form, so it is ion. This that is the nomenclature, name of the compound. So now for this compound, you need to find the valence bond structure. Okay, you have to find the hybridization geometry as well as the magnetic property of this compound. So how to find out with this? See, this is when they have gone with this complex group, okay, and they have done with the safety theory, and they got to know it is a paramagnetic in nature. Paramagnetic in nature. So as I said, if it is paramagnetic, what will be the field of the ligand? So that is the weak field of the ligand. It will be having weak field. The ligand is weak field. So the ligand what is present over here, so that is weak ligand. Okay. So you need to remember this. So now we will go with the structure. So how we have it until now in the same way, we have to continue. First what you have to do, you have to write, you have to take the central metal atom. So write the electronic configuration, argon 4s2 3d7. Now take or find the oxidation state of the cobalt, so that is +3. Find it as X. Okay, so that is +3. So according to that, 3 electrons it will lose. So here argon 4s0 3d6. This will be the electronic configuration. Next, what you have to do, you have to draw the orbital structure for this, right? So when you are drawing, how you are supposed to argon 3d6. So 3d orbital you have to draw first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the 3d. Okay. Next 4s. Next 4p. Okay. So this is for cobalt. So write the electronic configuration 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 electrons. So next step what you have to do, you have to write the ligand